Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful for you to go.
First of all, I just want to say how much I love the pod. Parenting these days can make you feel so isolated, especially when you're the first of your friends to have kids like me. But being in the PCP community makes me feel like I'm part of something amazing. I learned so much from both of you, and I know I'm a better parent for listening to your words of wisdom. Thank you for the hard work. You make a huge difference to the lives of parents and their beautiful kids. I just finished listening to episode 89 on moral development, another cracker, and I found myself reflecting on my own childhood. I went to an all-girls school, and let me tell you, teenage girls are mean. I had a hard time with bullies and friends who became bullies. Fitting in was tricky, and while I eventually found my people, for a while there, I had many girls single me out and be really unkind to me for no other reason than I was a bit of a dork. When I would come home and try to tell my mum about this, she would immediately jump in to telling me that I was probably misinterpreting the other girls and they wouldn't have wanted to hurt my feelings, and I don't know what's going on for them at home, and I should try to be more understanding. I believe she was also well-intended, and I knew then and know now that empathy is so important and that trying to understand someone else's perspective can really open up my eyes. But in these moments, it just made me feel unheard, misunderstood and more alone. It's exactly... I'll cover it at the end. Anyway, my question is, in these kind of situations where perhaps our kids are on the receiving end of some unkindness or poor behaviour, how do we simultaneously support them and make them feel seen and heard while also fostering a sense of empathy and understanding? I think both things are really important and valuable, but I remember how it felt having my own feelings pushed aside to focus on the feelings of those being mean to me, and it wasn't nice. I also wonder if it contributed to some of my somewhat problematic people-pleasing tendencies, whereby I tend to shove my own feelings aside to accommodate the feelings of others. Not the healthiest. My kids are only young, 2.5 and 6 months old, but I have already caught myself doing similar things to the toddler. If he has a friend over and the friend pushes him or snatches a toy or in some way upsets him, after comforting him, making sure he's okay, I always go with the line, he didn't mean it. I wonder if this is helpful or not. Thank you guys for phenomenal work. For once, I'm grateful to the Instagram algorithm for bringing PCP to my attention. Sorry, I cut in halfway through the question. I was like, oh, good God. What her mum used to do is probably what I would do in the moment, if I'm honest. And I know now a little bit more to be asking questions, validate feelings, learn a bit more about it. But I can see, not cutting a mum slack, but I'm like, I could see how you quickly just default to that.
So what always comes first? What comes before thinking about the other person's feelings?
How the kid felt.
Yeah, validating their feelings. So you can't get someone to think about someone else's feelings if you ignore theirs.
Yep.
So we connect. We use that emotional difficulty to connect. The story of Evie with the spoons, she was able to give back the spoon to Charlie when her own feelings were validated and acknowledged, and she had help in resolving them. We just started with, how do you think Charlie feels? He's just had it snatched. We're missing a step. There's no lesson in it, and the only reason she'll do it is that low-level stuff that Kohlberg talked about of just consequences. I'll get sent to bed, I won't get dessert or whatever, so that's why I'll give the spoon back. We role model thinking about other people's emotions by showing kids that we're aware of theirs and that they're valid, and we want to help them travel through those feelings successfully.
So, silly question, is it more about like, why do you want the spoon, or what do you like about the spoon?
Yeah, what's going on for you that you wanted that?
So what do you say to Evie in that moment?
Yeah, that must be hard. You want the spoon.
Why do you want
it? Talk her through it. Well, not even that. She's 3, so It's really just going, I can tell that you want the spoon, but at the start you chose this one. It's okay to be frustrated. We'll ask you again tomorrow, and tomorrow if you want the spoon, that's okay. Now, she still blows up. You give her some space to deal with it and stuff, but then I'm going to very quickly give her an opportunity to succeed at acknowledging at a very low level expectation that this is hard for Charlie. And often, if I'm honest, I go there before she does, and start praising her and doing all that stuff. We've talked about that a lot in the past. So, that's great. Good on you, Evie. You're such a superstar. Look at Charlie's already lighting up because he's excited to have his big sister give the spoon back to him and all of that stuff. She starts moving towards it. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm giving her the pass. She's already sensing how good she's going to feel about herself.
How you give him the path.
Yeah. So I'm just saying stop doing that. Don't do that. Think of Charlie. How would Charlie feel? She's 3 and she's like, wants the spoon is the most important thing in the world in that moment and her having it. It's the same as her talking about when she was a kid. What her mum has this beautiful second step has completely missed the first one. It must be really hard for you to experience that at school. It must have felt awful. I'd imagine you're feeling really isolated. I'm imagining you're feeling like you don't fit in. Is that how it is? Because I adore you. I think you're the most amazing, beautiful person I've ever met, and I feel like it's a privilege to have you in my life, and I hope you feel like that everywhere. But maybe you don't feel like that at school when that's happening to you. You don't go anywhere near onto what's happening for the other kid, or maybe they didn't think about your feelings and all that stuff until you've done that and you've nailed it. And you're having a conversation, the person's calm and regulated and feels validated. And you don't always go to the second step either. Sometimes you go to the second step and help them learn perspective. But it sounds clearly like this kid, who's a parent now, was probably operating at a pretty high level of empathy. So we're actually just, teaching them a skill they're already nailing. We do that a lot with kids. When they're good at something, we just keep hammering it. But actually what we needed to do is give this kid a chance to stick up for themselves. We did this with Evie. People have heard me talk about worrying about her, especially with little boys. I'm going on to the Imperfects in a couple of weeks to talk about, masculinity and how we need to guide kids better. Boys, not girls. Like most of the weight falls on people raising girls, which is infuriating. We used to read this book, like we still read it. It's called The Line Inside. I don't get it cut, but it's a good book. I only get 15% of my own book and 0 of A Line Inside. But so the funny thing is the whole point of the story is this mouse who feels really nervous and shy and wants to find their roar. And so they go and approach a lion and say, teach me how to roar. And they become friends. But when Evie's getting pushed around a bit now, she just roars at kids. She's like, like that. And it's so funny that I need to now elevate her ability to communicate. No, I don't want that. Don't teach me. Don't push me or whatever. But she just roars. And it's, that's what this parent needed to focus a little bit on the bit the kid was struggling with, not the bit the kid was actually nailing, which was, perspective taking and all that stuff. Anyway, amazing story.
Good stuff. I love it.
This podcast is brought to you by Guiding Growing Minds, a social enterprise that aims to give all children the best opportunity to reach their potential and succeed in living rich and meaningful lives.